Hello, welcome pen friends. Welcome to the first student pen report. This is the Pelikan Pelikano, and I did write with it all throughout January. Today's February 6th. I'm still writing with it. So I'm ready to give a preliminary report. And I'm excited about this. And at the same time, this being the first one, I'm sure there's probably going to be, I've kind of debated on how to handle them and, the reports and all of that. But I've kind of decided for this one anyway, we're going to look at the pen real good. We're going to talk about the features. And I'm going to do some quick comparison with some other pens. Some I've written with and most I haven't. Because this student pens, children's pens, beginner pens is somewhat new to me. I kind of leaped in maybe with some beginner pens that were more for adults. So this is kind of exciting. So we'll do those comparisons. Then we'll look in my ink journals. I've got 5 different types of paper. I've got Tomoe River paper, CVS Caliber, Midori, Pen and Gear. That's a real inexpensive notebook from Walmart. And then Rhodia, so that it kind of gives something maybe that everyone will be familiar with. One or the other. Then we'll write with it now. In fact, I'll have to decide, which notebook, but that doesn't matter just because it's been inked up a long time and, it's still going great. And then we'll talk about what I like and don't like about it. And as we go along through this series, I will get input from you and we'll just go from there. We don't want the perfect to be the enemy of the good here, so I wanted to get started. So let me show you the packaging before we get started with the pen. It comes in this really simple, kind of, I guess they call it a blister pack, that hangs. And it came right in here with, I think this one had 2 cartridges. So it was just slipped in here somehow or another. Anyway, you get the idea. I don't have to recreate it. I only have one of them, so I tore right into it like a little kid. And that's that. I got it from Amazon with the channel ad money, and it does have the little Pelikan logo on the finial. And it's got quite a design there. It's very kid-friendly, I think. It's got the neat little wraparound design on the cap. It's got a liner inside. I'm hoping I can show you. Let's see. Yeah, you can kind of see that white liner to keep it from drying out. Okay, and then let's see. I think I've been around and around about the posting. It doesn't really post securely. That's something to kind of keep in mind because caps could get lost. And this has a medium nib on it. And let me show you a close-up, or as close as I can get, of the feed there. And it's got a rubber, so this is plastic, but with a rubber grip. And this is a right-handed one, so it has a little thing here to kind of emphasize that, I guess. An ink window, kind of a little peering into. I have a cartridge, a standard international long cartridge I've used all the way to here, so I've really enjoyed it with the cartridge. Okay, let's see. The end has a couple of holes in it. The barrel, whoops. Oh my, let's get some focus here. And it's got some little styling, and like I said, the ink window on both sides. I like it. I'm going to show you the converter I used. This is I think this is a Monteverde standard converter. And this is from Great Fountain, Italy. I just plugged it so I could continue using this in this pen or another pen. And it's got Parker Blue Black in it. But we'll be looking at the writing samples. I just wanted to show you this did fit and it worked out. So that was nice because I had one in-house. Trying to think. I usually get a lot of, after the fact, I realize, I just skip over some of the features. But yeah, it's got a suggested grip that's not too, it's not too narrow. In other words, it's quite comfortable for me. I don't mind the suggested grips at all, but I find it's not quite as pronounced as the TWSBI Eco. It's just nice and comfy. I mean, I found myself carrying this everywhere, writing with it on grocery lists and everything, because I actually found that it was really good with the cartridge. It didn't bleed through much of anything, and it just was really cooperative. So let me compare this pen for you with some others in its class or category, or, you know, close as we can get. Now, I haven't written with the Pelikan Pelikano Junior yet, but here it is. I kind of wish I'd inked that this month, but I got really going with getting pens, so I've got more pens than experience at this point. That's why we're calling it a report. This is like a book report, only a pen report. Okay, this is the Lamy ABC, and I'm not sure it's going to stay there. And then this is what started the whole thing. Whoops, I've got it off center. This is the Schneider Ray, which got me realizing that I wanted to do student, you know, entry level children's pens, you know, and that kind of thing. I just fell in love with this in December. Did a review right off the bat. And it's what led me down this path. And it's probably going to go sideways. So anyway, let's put it over here. It's a little bit chunkier and kind of bigger than the Pelikan Pelikano. Let's see. Well, we know what we'll put the cartridge down here to kind of, well, or up here to point at the one. This is today's pen that we're comparing everything with. This is the online Airsoft, which is in that category too, with a fine nib. Also made in Germany. Oh, I don't think I mentioned that. The Pelikans are made in Germany. Whoops. Okay. Probably have some here that I should have here that I don't have here, but oh well, we're going to get that straight. This is the Kaweco Perkio, sorry, with a medium nib. I'm not sure I'd want a really young child using this one, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, and then next is the Pelikan Twist. I'm writing with that for February, so that's ongoing, along with the online Airsoft. Okay, let's see. And then next up is the Pelikan Pelikano, which is one of the other pens besides the Schneider Ray that I do have experience with. So I'll put that, you know, I've got quite a bit of experience with these two. And we're just right there before, say, a Lamy Safari. And we won't get that out just yet, but we will be probably getting the Safaris out when we're comparing with some of the other pens that I would think would be more middle school, high school. But I think that this pen you could give to quite a young child, especially if they're supervised. And, you know, I used to work with young children, and my training was certificate in early childhood, which was up to age 8, and I would be comfortable giving this to most 5-year-olds, especially if you're starting them out with having a chance to see them in action and make sure they're, you know, not poking anybody with it or anything like that. A room full of kids, I'm not sure. I just don't know how it works. Maybe by kindergarten, I would say, most likely you'd be able to. But at home, in a home setting, I would say even a 4-year-old could, because this is a sturdy nib and feed. It's not delicate. So, and that's not a professional. It's been a long time since I've worked as an early childhood, and we started them out with crayons and, you know, really thick ones and then thinner ones. But I definitely know many 4-year-olds could handle this easily and have a good time with it. So that's my opinion anyway. So that kind of gives you an idea. Let me see. Nib wise, I think we're, let's see, let me take a look at this. Yeah, this has a little bit more complicated feed. Let's see. And I'm not sure because of the way this one works. I think if we could just kind of, I think these are probably the most comparable. The Schneider Ray and the Pelikan Pelikano Junior, and then the Lamy ABC. You're kind of in that same range, I would say. Even more so with these two. But this is a sturdy pen nib and a feed that's not delicate too. So, and you know, this one has a nice soft grip for a child that would kind of be easy to hold. Let's see. And this one I haven't tried yet, but this looks almost exactly like the Pelikano. It's got the little emphasis over here on this side, and it's got a nice soft rubbery grip with a. This has an A nib, so that's something I need to study. You know, medium versus A, whether they're the same, how similar. And then the Lamy ABC. excuse me, has an A nib too. Lots of good stuff coming up. But that's where I kind of kept putting this review off, because my mind would go off in several different directions. But I think that's good enough for now for comparisons. And as we go forward, we're going to look forward to quite a few more comparisons. Okay. Okay, so next up, we'll dive right into the ink journals. This is Tomoe River paper 68 GSM and a Bond Travel Gear A5 hardcover notebook that isn't made anymore, but the paper certainly is available from Lockbee in their booklet style. And this is my launch pad. Every month I do my Chris's inked pens. Let's see. And, you know, I have my chart and we do grading and everything. And this Pelikan Pelikano got an A+. I said I loved it. I use it constantly and take it everywhere. And it's true. I was kind of afraid I was going to lose it because I kept sticking it in my little pockets and you name it. Mostly in a jacket pocket or a little carry thing that I carry my phone in. But I have to say I was happier with the cartridge that came in it and the ink that, you know, the flow and everything I got from the cartridge than I was with the Parker Blue Black in the converter, which, you know, it depended on paper though, because let me show you. We may have already looked at this if you're watching my other videos, but it did really well on this paper. But this is Tomoe River paper, and when we get in the other journals, it didn't do as well. I made a note that it completely failed on Rhodia when I was using the converter, which, you know, that's what makes this fun, I guess. It's just really puzzling, because the cartridge did so well on Rhodia. Let's see, I'm probably forgetting something. So of course it was great on the Tomoe River paper, and this is like a medium standard blue that comes in these cartridges. Let's see. Yeah, and I had high hopes, and I'm not going to give up on it. It's nice to standardize and use 2 different inks at least to kind of have something to compare, the Parker and the Pelikan. And then it was great in the converter too. So I said it writes just as nicely with the Parker ink. But that was before I got onto some of the cheaper papers and so on, or maybe you don't call it cheaper, but different papers. Okay, let's hop into the next notebook, which I really haven't thought about order, but this is a Midori notebook, and I let's see, jumped right over to this page. Oops, I get carried away and don't know what's going on. Okay, Pelikan Pelikano medium red. Okay, so as I said, it feels smooth and it dried pretty quickly, 17 seconds. Not that I normally care about that, but for some reason that day I did. I got my pen through Amazon Prime for $24.70, which, you know, I'm not going to be able to judge the price too well, because in Germany, I'm sure they don't cost that much, but, you know, if we're importing them, and if I'm impatient and have to buy it through Amazon, then that's what I get, I guess. But, yeah, eBay had some really ridiculous prices. But Pen Chalet was online with Amazon Prime, and just Jet Pens, I think I made a note about that. I think Jet Pens had a bunch of different colors, but let's see. Okay, so then I put the Parker Blue Black, and it was just fine on the Midori paper. I didn't do a long writing with it, but then I went over here some more. Smooth, reliable flow, not as juicy as I'd like. Okay, but great on cheap paper. So probably we'll get over to that one next, and I'll see how it was on the Pen and Gear. Seems I've done some other skipping around too. That's where I've got to work out some of these kinks so that I can bring you a smoother review, I think. Okay, this paper here, before we get into the other notebook, this came out of a really nice composition notebook, hardcover, that comes from Family Dollar, and I noticed they've raised their prices. They were $5, now they're $5.50. But it's a really nice notebook that I'm using for process journaling. Mine has a really pretty cover on it. Let me grab it. So the notebook that I have looks like this, and it's, like I said, it's composition size with a nice hardcover. The back of it does say made in Vietnam on this one, but the next time I went in, they only had, it said made in China, I think, but the paper felt exactly the same. So I bought another one, and I'll be reporting to you how that works out. So the reason I mentioned that notebook is because I decided to test on some of the paper because I like it so much. And it was really super good on this. It did not, it may have like just tried to seep through, but you can't even see, just barely. And it was good enough that it didn't bother me. So if you would like a beautiful notebook that's kind of in the middle range, not too expensive, that's a really good one. Again, though, once I got into the Parker Blue Black, it didn't do the same thing. And I kept fiddling with it because it was so good on Tomoe River paper. What else? Oh, we'll see in a minute. It's confused. Okay, don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. Okay, so in here I have the Pen and Gear from Walmart. This is a 99-cent 4x6 notebook. And we started, of course, with the cartridge. And it was just excellent. Oh, my goodness. And it dried really fast, like between 10 and 15 somewhere. Seems to dry nice on this note. On this. Note-taking would be great. Yeah, I felt like that was really good. No noticeable feathering. Yeah, just excellent. And I did okay when I first started with the cartridge. I'm just wondering if, the converter. I'm kind of wondering, because here it is with the Parker Blue Black. Really strong right up until it started to peter out just a little, but it says still no bleed through, feels a bit dry. Yeah. I'm wondering if I just was having a flow issue with this that I was not having with the cartridge, because I think I showed you that's just a long cartridge and it's excellent. I'd refill that, I guess, if that's the way it is. I might as well just refill that or get a bunch of cartridges. They're not that expensive, but with all this ink here, I would just refill. So yeah, it was great on this one, and this is the next pen, so we won't pay attention to that. And then we go to CVS Caliber. Oh yeah, this is where we had a little trouble. It did feel dry on this paper. It was acceptable. It was okay, going down and everything. But I could, after some of the other papers, I really did feel it. But I think it's just fine with the cartridge. And then when I got over here, it was just a disaster. Abort mission, I said, with the Parker Blue Black. So we're just going to have to leave that open door as to what happened. Oh dear. Because it could be a feed issue. I don't think it's the ink. I just am not sure about that. So we'll have some more experiments. This is ongoing, and we'll see where we end up. And last but not least is the Rhodia 80 GSM paper. Let's make sure you can see that. And here it is. With the cartridge, A-OK. That's what throws me off. Then you put when I put this in, which was at totally different times, different days and everything. This was on, January 14th. This is on the 25th. So, after cleaning the pen and just starting all over to go through each notebook. So I felt like it was a failure. And, I went off to the side and tried to, prime it and get it going. But no. It was puzzling, I have to say. I don't know if anybody else has ever had anything like that, but it was quite puzzling. Back to cartridge, yeah, okay. That's fine. It's just, it left me puzzled, and I am not the most patient person in the world, so it could very well be me. I just didn't really fully solve that issue. I didn't need to, though, because I just plugged the cartridge, cleaned the pen, and started again with the cartridge. So next up is to write with it. Okay, let's see. I was sort of wondering. Well, let's use the Rhodia. It's kind of in the middle. It's not cheap, and it's not Tomoe River expensive either. It's middle of the road, I think. So let's do that. We won't post it. So let's see, this is Pelikan Pelikano with a medium nib. Feels really smooth on this with this paper, and with this cartridge. Okay. Whoops, that was me. I think I turned. It's got a nice generous flow, I'd say, for a medium nib like this. And it feels good. It feels good writing on this paper. And not all pens do. Rhodia is not my favorite paper, but I am coming to understand that it's a pretty good middle of the road standard paper to look at and compare. So this pen here is not as juicy as the Schneider Ray, but the Schneider Ray is advertised as a medium plus, so it's almost a broad nib. So let's just take this for a whirl real quick. This is the N-E-I-D. I'm not a good speller. Schneider Ray medium plus. What do I have in here? Oh dear. I should know. That looks real familiar. Is it? It's not Venta Maycopa, is it? I'm not sure. I'm asking you, right? Oh, it is. Okay, that's why it looks so familiar. This is the boysenberry. Venta Maycopa. So this one puts down more ink. Oh, I'm going to be pink. That's okay. Whoops. And it's just super juicy. So it seems this pen is going to be the standard to compare all the other pens by. Fair or not fair? Probably not fair. But I just thought I'd do that real quick because I think that's going to come up again and again. Little by little, having more of them to compare with each other after writing with more of them. It's going to be easier for me to have more to tell you. So this being the first one, here we are. But anyway, now we've written with it. Now let's kind of talk about some of my likes and dislikes of the pen. I don't know if it'll help you or not, and it does kind of delve into the realm of a review, but I think that's okay. So it's got a super smooth nib. I don't have any complaints about the nib. It's wonderful. It's 100% reliable, at least with the cartridge. With this, I don't know what the issue is. So it could be this particular converter, So let's not judge the pen too much by that. It didn't come with that. That's just something that I had on hand. Okay. Oops, need to stay on track here. Sturdy materials. Yes, you could drop this. I don't believe it's going to break. I have dropped it a couple of times. It seems very, very sturdy. I would not have any trouble giving this to a child. I would want to make sure if it's a sibling situation, because I happen to know that sometimes siblings can try to stab each other or whatever with pencils or pens. So I'd want to supervise, but it's affordable. It's not, this pen was only $12 when I got it. I got a super good deal on it. And then this pen was more in the $20 range, let's say. A little bit more than that. I like that it fits the long cartridges because that gives you a nice ink capacity. I've been going for about a month with it and I like it. I just like it a lot. I'm using multiple pens, so I like that it has the cap liner. That's excellent. So, I haven't had any drying issues. It's been wonderful every time I pick it up. So, let's see. Comfortable grip. Yeah, I consider this very comfortable. It's a lightweight pen. I have a whole bunch of stuff. Let me just bring this over. I did do a pen review page, even though I kind of was balky about this isn't really a pen review because I'm so new to these kinds of pens. I don't feel quite qualified, but I do feel qualified to do a pen report. So let's just do that right now. Report. If Chris is comfortable, she just is much more willing to do things. So, oh, look at that. I misspelled pelican. Okay, that's terrible. Good grief. Let's look at our packaging. Pelikan. Yes, it has a K, not a C. Pelikan Pelikano. Okay. It came with the long cartridges. It's made from plastic and rubber. I've got lines through things. I guess I didn't. Length capped, 13.7 centimeters, 5.4 inches. Length unposted, 125 millimeters, 4 7/8 inches. Grip diameter. Okay, I must have read that somewhere because I don't, that's two measurements, 10.8 millimeter and up to 16.4. And then it only weighs 17.9 grams. 14 grams empty, but we do have it with the ink. And this is approximate, so I don't know. Okay. And I said the price range varies. The availability seems pretty good. I found it at Amazon, Jet Pens, and Pen Chalet, this particular one. And it's probably available other places, but that's as far as I got. Nib options, medium, fine, A. Okay, but mine is a medium, right? Yeah, medium. And there's a left-handed one. So that's nice. And it features a soft grip with a suggested triangular grip. Okay, and then we get down here. Oh dear, it looks like I did ink experiments on my paper. But I just went through all of these, what I liked. I just said those things. What I don't like, section collects ink when using a converter. Okay, yeah, it was, it's a little bit, you know, of a difficulty if you do what I did and stick the whole section down in there. I didn't have to do that. I could have filled the converter and just waited, you know, but patience is not my top virtue. So, you know, it's somewhat like the Lamy Safari where you're taking a paper towel and cleaning that ridge, but that's nothing. That's nitpicky. I wish it came with a converter. Yeah, I feel that way with all pens. I think all fountain pens should come with a converter, but, you know, maybe Jinhao has just spoiled me because, you know, other companies don't do that, but Jinhao does. Oh, and I wrote down here, I play musical chairs with my converters. Yeah, I converters. Yeah, it sounded like a car thing or something. I keep, you know, swapping them out, so I have to go through multiple pens to figure out where, like, say, a standard converter like this, where it ended up. Oh, wow, we are going on. Okay, and I had notes and conclusions. Who might like this pen? If you like a suggested subtle grip, it's affordable for people. Okay, and the other thing is, I do truly feel like it is a good pen for beginners or for children. I'm sure that of any fountain pen I've used so far, this is one of the ones I would most recommend so far. And I'm just getting started, so there may be some that turn out to be better. I would expect as we go through this year, because this is going to be a whole year project, at least, maybe next year too. But I think you can tell I really like this. And if it hadn't been for having already worked with the Schneider Ray, it would be like at the top, you know, I think of this category of pens. But the Schneider Ray still holds that position right now. And I have to say, I love the Pilot Kakuno, but it's a different animal. I mean, if you really compare these two, this material feels like not quite as good to give to a little child, like a really young, you know, kindergarten age or 4, 5, 6 years old, because they're going to drop them, and I don't know whether they'll crack or not, but I would imagine it'd be easier to crack this than this one. And I'm way out on a limb there. That could be not true, but it's my impression. And this has a sturdy feed and a nice, you know, hard steel nib, and it's made for kids, so they must know what they're doing, and definitely very, very smooth. But I kind of like the idea of a little wider nib width. You know, this one does come with a fine nib, and I don't have one, so I can't wait to be able to tell you more once I've written with like these two that are really children's pens too. so that we could compare them. And of course, this month of February, I'm going to get the whole month. Now it's only the 6th with this online. Suddenly I'm drawing a blank. I've got it right here. Wow, I don't have it. Okay, it's like she just ran out of steam. Let's see. I'm determined, so I'll look back and see. Airsoft, that's what it is, yeah. It's just that I'm trying to ask my brain to go too fast, I guess. Anyway, in conclusion, I like this pen a lot, and I think that it's worth the money. It's worth the 24 or whatever it was, close to 24 that I paid. It would be really great to live somewhere where, you could get it without having to get an import. How much does it cost where you live? If you live in Germany particularly, I'd like to know. I know the diamine inks are a lot cheaper, where they're made, in the country. So I'm kind of curious about that. In fact, I'm formulating questions because I have more questions than I have knowledge at this point, but that's okay. Hopefully this was useful to you. There are many, many other reviews you can get into that are, real technical and probably much more in line with measurements and things like that. And those are good. Those are wonderful. And you might want to watch some before you actually, purchase. But as far as our year-long study, I'm excited to have finally started it with this review. And you can go back and watch my review in December of the Schneider Ray. That was before I knew I was going to do this project for the whole year of 2023. Okay. Questions, feedback, suggestions, everything is welcomed. And as much as my brain will allow, I will, modify and see going forward what we can do to make these better or make them more useful for you. So thank you very much for watching and joining me on this project. And I will see you soon, and I'll see you in the comments. Bye for now.